So first of all, I just wanted to share some resources for you during recruitment and in these months leading up to it. You can ask us anything about recruitment, and we're here to just make this as easy and stressless as possible for you. I'm Mariah Owens. I'm the Vice President of Recruitment for the Panhellenic Executive Council, and you can always reach out to me. You can always also reach out to our advisor, Jen Tooney, and Emma Shore is the Vice President of Rogammas, and Ella Dota, who's the Panhellenic President, are also always here for you to reach out to. These slides and a recording will be put online if you ever need to reference it for our contact information or any other details in the future. So just starting at the basics, you might be wondering what even is Panhellenic. The Panhellenic Executive Council is a council that governs 8 of our sorority chapters here at Villanova. It's made up of members of all the Panhellenic chapters on campus who also serve as a governing executive body. An easy way to think of Panhell is just that we're a council of sororities. And so those sororities are Alpha Chi Omega, Alpha Gamma Delta, Alpha Phi, Chi Omega, Tri Delt, Delta Gamma, Kappa Delta, and Kappa Kappa Gamma. It's important to discuss diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially since Villanova is a predominantly white campus and Panhellenic sororities have historically been for white women. The Villanova Panhellenic experience celebrates women of all identities, including races, socioeconomic statuses, sexualities, class years, etc. We recognize that addressing DEI concerns is an ongoing process, and we're committed to doing the work so that all members can have an equitable and inclusive experience. Villanova Panhellenic is committed to DEI and have worked to make recruitment a more equitable process. We've implemented a secondary pool, allowing upperclassmen a more equitable opportunity in the preferencing and membership selection processes. We implement content warnings before rounds to ensure that P&Ms are prepared and can ask for accommodations if they need them. We've provided financial transparency and DEI commitment statements in the Panhellenic Recruitment Guidebook. We changed the recruitment registration form questions to ensure that potential new members, which you'll hear me refer to as P&Ms, are not being prejudged based on photos or perceived socioeconomic status. And we provided an overview of dietary and physical accessibility provisions in the registration form to account for those with any concerns. So jumping right into recruitment, here's an overall schedule of all the days that you'll be participating in. On January 7th, you'll be able to move into your dorm starting at 10 a.m. And then that same day, you'll have recruitment kickoff at 5 p.m. On January 8th and 9th, you'll go through the first round, which is also called Sisterhood Round. On January 10th, you'll have Philanthropy Round. And on January 11th, you'll have Preference Round. And the last hurrah of the entire recruitment process will happen on January 12th, which is when you'll get to open your bid card and officially meet your new sisters. As another scheduling detail, the dining halls aren't open normally over the winter break, so you'll have a recruitment-specific dining schedule. On Tuesday, dinner will be provided at Spit with your Rho Gamma group, and then Wednesday through Friday, lunch and dinner will be provided at Spit and Pit. On these days, we're not providing breakfast, so you'll have to provide your own breakfast, and remember to bring snacks and water. It's really important that you're able to show up as your best self, and this means fueling your body, giving yourself energy. Your regular Villanova meal plans will reactivate on Saturday, so then you'll have your usual dining times and locations on Saturday and Sunday. So just to really reiterate, you'll be able to move into your dorm on January 7th at 10 a.m. You should plan to get here around that time, whether you're flying, taking the train, driving. If you have any concerns about your flight times, you can reach out to us and we can talk through some options with you. So into the details, on Tuesday, January 7th, you'll have move-in and recruitment kickoff. For move-in, you'll have to fill out the winter break housing form, which is live right now. On the Residence Life portal, you'll click housing and dining forms, and then break stay housing. You'll have to select winter break and the sorority recruitment option. If you don't fill this out, you might not have access to your dorm to move in after 10 a.m. Then at 5 p.m. that day, you'll have recruitment kickoff. This is your Rho Gamma will tell you where you and your small group are meeting. For this, you can wear anything. Most people just generally dress comfy. During this, you'll meet your Rho Gamma, which is like your recruitment counselor. You'll also have a small Rho Gamma group full of other P&Ms with the same Rho Gamma as you. You can think of this kind of like a freshman orientation group. You'll then have dinner with your Rho Gamma immediately following kickoff so that you guys can get to know each other. And then you'll want to make sure to get a good night of sleep, because then Sisterhood Round, which takes place on January 8th and 9th, Wednesday and Thursday. In this round, you'll start to get to know each sorority and what it means to be a sister in each chapter. You'll have a few brief, fast-paced conversations with about 2 to 6 members, and you'll talk to them about things that are important and interesting to you. They want to talk about things that you care about. This round is on Zoom both days. We recommend bringing and using headphones in case you're in a shared space like a dorm room. Classrooms are also available on campus if you'd like a separate space. On the first day, you'll meet 4 to 5 chapters, and on the second day, you'll go to 2 to 3 chapters. Your Rogama will give you your group-specific schedule of which chapters you're going to which day and which rooms those will be in. This round is all about casual conversations and initial connections. In this round, you'll want to wear a presentable, cute top, and you can wear anything on the bottom since it's just on Zoom. At the end of the round, you'll be asked to submit your top 5 chapter preferences using our online recruitment platform called Campus Director. So here's some inspo for what you might want to wear for Sisterhood Round. As you can see, it's cute, but definitely casual. During this round, chapter members are usually wearing a chapter t-shirt and comfortable pants. So then on January 10th, you'll move on to Philanthropy Round. In this round, you'll learn more about each chapter's philanthropic and service-based initiatives. Each chapter on campus has 1 or 2 charities that they support financially and fundraise for. There's usually a presentation or speech about how each chapter's charity has impacted a sister or changed someone's life. You'll also have a one-on-one conversation with members again during this round. This year, Philanthropy Round is on campus in various rooms. These rooms will also be given to you along with your schedule. Before, after, and during parties, you can meet in the Connolly Center so you don't have to walk all the way back to your dorm. For Philanthropy Round, you could be invited back to a maximum of 5 chapters parties. It is normal to be invited back to any number of chapters. All schedules are normal schedules and just help you hone in on the best chapter for you. You'll want to wear confident and cute outfits. Think like nice brunch outfits. It's a lot less casual than Preference Round, but definitely nicer than Sisterhood Round. You'll be asked also to submit your top 2 chapter preferences at the end of this round using the same online recruitment software. So here's some examples of philanthropy attire. As you can see, you can wear a dress or you can wear pants and a nice top. For this round, chapter members usually wear color coordinated outfits like dresses or pantsuits. And our last round is Preference Round, which will take place the next day on January 11th, which is a Saturday. You'll see a lot more intimate and personal side of the chapters that you're invited back to and learn more about their rituals and traditions. You'll have a long, meaningful conversation with 1 or 2 sisters that you've probably met earlier in the rounds or have some sort of connection with. It'll also take place on campus in the same rooms as the day before. And you can again meet other PNMs and Rogamas and Con during the breaks and in between rounds. You'll be invited back to a max of 2 chapters. So this is when you're really starting to hone in which chapter you're most interested in joining. During this round, you'll wear your most formal outfit of recruitment, which is essentially semi-formal or cocktail attire. After this round, you'll be asked to complete your membership recruitment acceptance binding agreement. And since that's a lot of words, we usually just call it MRABA. This will be reviewed in depth with you at recruitment kickoff and then during MRABA signing that happens that night. An OFSL staff member will be available also during the signing to answer any questions that might come up. And so here's some example of the Preference Round attire. It might kind of seem like a homecoming dance attire to you. Chapter members during this round usually also, again, wear color coordinated outfits like dresses or pantsuits. And then last, you'll have bid day on January 12th, which is the Sunday before school starts. You'll meet in the Villanova room at 2:30 and then proceed to Mendel Field, where you can open your bid cards at 3 p.m. Your Rogama will lead you and provide you with your bid card once you get to Mendel Field. You'll want to wear comfortable bottoms and shoes, and your new chapter will give you a shirt to wear. Remember to dress warm, though. Mendel Field is really cold in January. You'll then embark on a bid day celebration with your new sisters. This could include a trampoline park, roller skating, etc., and is different based on which chapter you join. Transportation for this will be provided by your new chapter as well. So now that we've gone through the schedule, we can talk about some more general information about recruitment. First, we have release figure methodology, which is essentially just how we match P&Ms to chapters. Villanova's Panhell community is also governed by National Panhellenic Conference. They're a large organization that governs every Panhellenic sorority on every US college campus. Because of that, our recruitment process at Villanova is based off of their guidelines for successful recruitment. Villanova's recruitment process is the same here as at every other university. It differs in scale, obviously, because we are a smaller school, and obviously just because our people are unique. At Villanova, we use a mutual selection process, and that just helps us match P&Ms to their best fit chapter. That's why you'll visit a different number of chapters each round, so that over the process, you can really hone in which one you fit in with best. An algorithm is used to spread P&Ms ideally evenly between chapters. Each P&M is matchable to a chapter and should be able to join a chapter at the end of the process. It's a complicated algorithm that we on the recruitment team don't even fully understand, so don't try to work the system in any type of way and rank in a certain way to maximize your results. If someone told you that there's a hack, they're wrong. Genuinely rank according to which chapters you enjoyed visiting the most. We do have a virtual option for recruitment since we understand that P&Ms might have other commitments. If you have extenuating circumstances and can't make it in person for recruitment, our Panhellenic Council can grant you the ability to participate virtually. If you have any way to participate in person, we super strongly recommend that you do it so that you can make more genuine connections during rounds and get a better sense for which chapter you fit the best in. The virtual option will include watching videos made by each sorority, then responding to set questions in a 2 to 3 minute recording for each round that you'll just video yourself. You won't get to speak with any chapter members. This is what I participated in during recruitment, and it was not at all ideal. It works. I'm in a chapter that I love, but I wouldn't do it this way if I had any choice. If you'd like to participate in this virtual process or have any more questions, please reach out to us. Our email is panhellenic@villanova.edu. Not everyone is eligible to participate in recruitment, so you want to make sure that you fit the requirements. First, P&Ms must be in good disciplinary standing with the school. You must also have 12 credit hours completed, which is essentially one normal fully enrolled semester. And last, P&Ms must have a minimum GPA of 2.7. This is a little bit tricky this year because final grades aren't released by Villanova until January 6th. So you could have fully prepared to participate in recruitment, booked your flights and packed your bags, and then find out the day before that you're ineligible to participate because of your GPA. We know this is awful, but there's nothing that we can do about it because we have no power over the academic calendar and when these grades are due. If you're concerned about your GPA being an issue, we just really recommend working hard right now to make sure that you're nowhere near that strict 2.7 cutoff. There's nothing that we can do if you're at 2.699999. If you have any concerns about this, please reach out to us at that same email. Some P&Ms might have a family member who was or is a member of one of the Panhellenic chapters we have on campus. This is not an advantage. Recommendation letters are not accepted by Villanova Panhellenic, nor by any of our chapters. Chapters do not read or consider any recommendation letters. Legacy status is not considered, and no organizations have legacy policies. This means that they are not required to invite you to any rounds or to extend you a bid. Legacy status is only collected in your registration form for data purposes, and it's not utilized in the membership selection process at all. There is also the opportunity to join a Panhellenic sorority without participating in formal recruitment, and it is called Continuous Open Bidding, or COB. This year, Alpha Gamma Delta will be focusing on COB for their recruitment process that allows the chapter and prospective members to spend more time getting to know each other in a much more casual setting. This is done by holding events to meet P&Ms throughout the beginning of the semester, as well as through one-on-one coffee dates. For updates and to check out their sisterhood, you can see their Instagram, which is @NovaAlphaGam, and fill out their interest form via this QR code that's on the screen. The COB process for AGD will begin right after primary recruitment ends in January. We really encourage you to check it out if you feel like this might be a good fit for you. So let's look towards your next steps to prepare for recruitment. First of all, register. Registration is already open and will close for good on December 12th. You can find the link on our website, in our Instagram bio, and in the Instagram bios of any of the sorority chapters. Note that the registration costs $150, which goes completely toward the cost of putting on this massive event. It covers your dining, paying for the matching algorithm software, furniture rentals, and much more related costs that just add up. Over winter break, after you've registered, you'll get an email with launch point modules that will need to be completed before recruitment. These are super similar to the modules you had to complete before or during freshman orientation. It's known as PNMO or PNM orientation. If you don't complete these before recruitment, you'll have to do it all the night of kickoff, which is when you're trying to get a good sleep before sisterhood round. So don't leave it all until the last minute. Last, we have 2 mini recruitment sessions coming up about social identities and financial transparency. The date for those is still TBD, but definitely keep an eye out. You have a lot of resources for recruitment, so you should never ever feel in the dark. There's a lot of information on our website, which is linked on the screen, and you can also just find it by Googling Villanova Panhellenic or Villanova OFSL. Also follow us on Instagram. All of our events are announced on there. Again, that's at Villanova Panhell. Also follow the chapters on their Instagrams to see what they're up to and get to know their sisterhoods. A huge resource for you will be the PNM guidebook, which is on our website and linked with this QR code on the screen. This has every single piece of information you could possibly need for recruitment and is an excellent way for you to find more detailed information. Last, if you have any specific or personal questions, you can always reach out to me and the OFSL recruitment team. My personal email is mowens10@villanova.edu, or you can email the overall Panhellenic team at panhellenic@villanova.edu. So now that we've gotten over the basics, I'll open it up to our recruitment chairs to answer your questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A box on Zoom. Other PNMs on this Zoom won't be able to see your questions, so don't hesitate to ask anything that's on your mind. It looks like we already have some questions maybe, so we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, the first question, is there a broken down schedule for the whole week in case someone plans to commute if they live close in the area? Where can they find a broken down copy of the schedule?
Yes, there is. It is in the PNM guidebook, which is on the website. A question for our recruitment chairs is, how is accessibility addressed, including for those with disabilities?
Okay, hi. So how accessibility is addressed, at least for Chi Omega, we prioritize the experience of every single member. So we only seek out spaces that are accessible. So that includes our formals, any social events, our philanthropy events, meetings, anything. We want to prioritize the comfort of our chapter members and make sure people of all ability levels are able to enjoy their experience in Chi Omega and get the best out of it.
Going off of that, at Delta Gamma, we also utilize an accommodations form where our members in our chapter have the ability to either anonymously or put their name down, talk about anything that they may feel they want our executive members to know, and whether that be a visible or invisible disability, so we can make every member feel the most comfortable.
Okay, next question. On bid day, is it okay to wear sweatpants and a big puffer coat?
I'll take
I
this
can answer
question.
this one.
You can wear whatever you want on bid day. The chapter that you are accepted to will provide you a t-shirt so we can all be matching, which is awesome. And as for pants, I always recommend to be comfortable as well as warm. I know last year, our chapter, we went to a trampoline park. So you ideally might not want to be bouncing around in jeans or whatever it is. So something definitely comfortable works. I know I wore leggings and a long sleeve freshman year. That helps.
I realized I forgot to do this before the first question, but do you mind all going around and just introducing yourselves and what chapter you're associated with?
I can
I'm Julia Marcus.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Julia.
Okay. I'm Julia Marcus, and I'm the recruitment chair for Kappa Delta.
I'm Aphrodite Demopoulos, and I'm the recruitment chair for Delta Gamma.
My name is Ava Tower, and I'm the recruitment chair for Chi Omega this year.
My name is Layla Savas, and I'm the recruitment chair for Alpha Chi Mega, or assistant recruitment chair.
I'm Grace Nugent, and I am the recruitment chair for TriAdult this year.
I'm Molly Nelson, and I'm a director of primary recruitment for Alpha Phi.
I'm Ava Floyd, and I'm the recruitment chair for Kappa this year.
I'm Julia Gunster, and I'm the incoming recruitment chair for Alpha Gamma Delta.
Okay, our next question. Is someone at a disadvantage if they didn't register to participate in mock recruitment, / is it too late to participate in mock recruitment?
I can answer this one. I think that mock recruitment's a great way for girls to kind of get a feel for what recruitment's going to be like before you actually get to it. In January, I know I did it my freshman year, and I think it kind of calmed a lot of nerves. But you're absolutely not at a disadvantage. It's totally something just for your benefit to kind of become a little bit more familiar with the process, because we know that sometimes it can be intimidating, but definitely not at a disadvantage at all. It can really only help you feel more comfortable, I would say.
Yeah, going off of that, I think it was a really fun experience freshman year. So if you're able to do it, I would encourage you to. But if you're not able to, if you have a different commitment or something like that, it's completely fine. It doesn't put you at any sort of advantage.
So, and to address the is it too late to sign up? Registration for mock recruitment technically closed on Halloween, but if you give us an email, I'm sure we can work something out. And for the next question, we have, what is the level of commitment once you actually join the sorority? How many days per week, etc.?
I can answer this one. Sorority commitment is really as much as you want it to be. If you want to hold leadership positions within your sorority, that is an option. There are leadership positions that are more of a commitment and leadership positions that are less of a commitment. So it's really what you make of it. And I think the only thing that's probably standardized across all sororities is that we all have chapter once a week where we all come together and meet as a chapter.
To kind of go off of that, agreed. It's definitely build your level of commitment that you'd want to be. So obviously being the recruitment chair, I chose a very high level of commitment for Delta Gamma, but many of my best friends have never held a position within the chapter. Going off of, as well as having weekly chapter meetings, we also have certain what we call anchored events that are mandatory. Not too many throughout the semester, but generally they're regarding our philanthropy.
Okay, I have another question. Mariah, I will send this one to you. I got a couple questions about folks asking if, due to their flights, if they are able to arrive back at Villanova prior to the 7th.
I would say do your best if you can to arrive on the 7th by after 10 a.m. But if there's really nothing you can do, shoot us an email because we can grant a few exceptions.
Okay, another question for you, Mariah. Sorry, these are some logistics questions. For friends that did register for mock recruitment, when will they be notified of their selected time slots?
So mock recruitment is on the Sunday. We'll try to have you notified by the Friday before, which is, I guess, this Friday. So this Friday.
Okay.
Just come as an email. Sorry.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, my next question is, let's see. Oh, there we go. If there are incidents of like bias or racism or some sort of discrimination within a sorority, how are those things addressed? What sort of like accountability things are put in place for people that may act like that?
I think I can answer this one. So for us personally, we have a DEI officer, and usually if there is a case of bias or discrimination, or people will have a meeting with that DEI officer and then continue through the conference and then have maybe a few other conferences until they understand what the issue was and how they can further do better. We also have a VP wellness so that if someone feels like they were a victim of bias or discrimination, they can talk to that person and it's a safe space that does not leave between the two of them.
Going off of that, I could speak to what Chi Omega does. So, as for us, we do also have the same procedure where you would meet with our standards, our executive board, and we want to have respect for everybody involved in that situation. But at Chi Omega, we kind of acknowledge the bias and exclusionary history of sororities, and we are doing our best to kind of recognize our privilege and where we can improve. So, we've taken to education at every single one of our chapter meetings. We currently have 2 DEI chairs, and we are trying to secure our DEI executive board position. So that will be voted into our spring bylaws. So one of you guys on this panel can right now be the next DEI chair for Chi Omega, which is super exciting. But we definitely want to face those uncomfortable topics and have those discussions and kind of lean more into education rather than ignorance.
Going off of Ava's point, at Delta Gamma, we also have a system of justice in place that's meant for these instances to be brought and consequences to happen if anything of the such were to take place. But then even kind of going back, we understand that and acknowledge, like Ava said, not only does Greek life has a history of this, but going to a predominantly white institution, it's something that needs to be addressed and implemented into every single chapter. So for us as well, we've taken a big step this past year in our executive board of creating ways to report in an anonymous fashion. So every sister in our chapter could feel comfortable reporting, just in case, it's not something that they feel necessarily willing to initially.
Yeah, we also have confidential reporting mechanisms that will be taken to or handled by our chapter's leadership, like Aphrodite said. And something else that I really like that our chapter does is at our like meetings on Sunday, our VPDEI, she does something called We're Not Really Strangers. Her name's Rita, and we just get to turn to the sister next to us, and we can just tell them something that maybe they didn't know about us before, just to make everyone kind of feel more included, like they maybe don't know the person next to them as well.
That's awesome. Is it okay? This is the next question. Is it okay to be a little bit overdressed for philanthropy round?
I can take this question. Definitely wear whatever you feel the most comfortable in. That's what's most important. I would say the rounds do get slightly fancier as you go along, but definitely wear whatever you feel comfortable in.
I can add on to this one. Like I know my freshman year I wore a hot pink long sleeve dress, but the rooms get really hot, so I would just keep that in mind for when you're picking out your different outfits.
Yeah, in the case it eases anyone's mind, being on both sides of it, I remember when I was a PNM, I was definitely super stressed about my outfit. And then once I was in Delta Gamma recruiting, I literally did not think about it once. So when any PNM walked through the door, that was like the last thing on my mind. So definitely kind of use that to ease your mind if you're having any sort of stress related to outfits.
Okay, next question. Can y'all talk just a little bit about the estimated costs of being in a sorority? Are dues different for each sorority? All of those, just pieces related to the financial obligation of membership.
Yeah, so they do vary per chapter, but they are disclosed during recruitment. Like we're very open about it just so that PNMs know like what they're committing themselves to. So if they realize that maybe they can't make that commitment, they can completely take that into account when they're ranking.
Going off of that, we actually have a scholarship as well as Delta Gamma in Delta Gamma. So, while all our financials are fully disclosed, like Layla said, we also have a scholarship that you're able to apply for. And this past year, we're really proud to have 4 women receive that scholarship and have their dues covered. So, definitely a way to make the process more equitable for people.
Going off of that, we really pride ourselves too on scholarships that we have available and also payment plans in place as well. So never are we never are members not able to join Chi Omega because of financial reasons. We will find whatever we have resources to help everybody out, but those payment plans in place really help too with kind of evening out how you pay for your dues. But we are super transparent about it during recruitment. There will be a breakdown of everything. Ask any member, and we would be able to tell you the breakdown of what exactly you are paying for. There are also a lot of added things too that you can pay for as well. I know for us, we do like a gents weekend coming up this week where you could pay an extra price for that ticket. And if you don't want to go to that event, you don't have to, you're not paying for it. So we kind of structure it out that way.
I will also add on that all of the chapters' financial breakdowns are in the PNM guidebook right now, so you can also check those out if you want more specific answers. Another question is, are there any personal one-on-one interviews during Rush for any sororities?
I can answer this. I guess my understanding of the question is like as you go through our sisterhood and our philanthropy round, like you'll meet a lot of different girls, and then we try to structure our preference round in a way where you get to kind of have a more intimate one-on-one conversation with a single member of our chapter for the full duration of that round. So that's kind of, I guess, the one-on-one time that you're going to have during each round with one specific girl. But we don't do any sort of interviews or anything outside of the official rush process.
Okay, next question. Is there a specific schedule for folks that are participating in recruitment virtually? So Mariah, I'm thinking that is one for you, friend.
So, I mean, yes, there's a schedule, but it's just that every round. So, one time for sisterhood, one time for philanthropy, and one time for preference. You will make a video of yourself that's 2 to 3 minutes long, and that'll get sent to the chapters. There's no schedule because that's all that you're doing, which is why we so strongly don't recommend it.
There will be due dates for or due times, I guess, for your videos, but your prompts will be released in the morning, and then your video will be due that evening. So that's the only schedule.
Another question for chairs is, do all sisters live in the same dorm area or house?
I can take this one. So there isn't any kind of organized sorority specific living that is facilitated by an individual chapter. But I know that a lot of Kappa Delta sisters do live together either on campus or off campus as upperclassmen. But there is no formal living situation for members of the individual chapters.
Great. Awesome. Okay, another question. There's someone that's maybe had some confusion about why we're talking so much about outfits. Can y'all shed some light on why folks might be concerned about that or why we want to address those concerns?
I can answer that. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go, Mariah?
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. I know a lot of people do stress out about outfits because of what they see on social media or Alabama Rush and everything, but I can't emphasize it enough. The the guidelines and everything that we're talking about are kind of just suggestions. Really just wear whatever you feel comfortable in, wear whatever expresses your style, whatever you want to do, seriously. No one's judging you based off your outfit. Everything is all purely based on your conversations and the story you tell with our chapter members. So I know it might seem a little daunting and some people might be nervous about outfits, but seriously, I can't emphasize it enough. Going off of what Aphrodite said before, we do not even think of it as chapter members now. I remember being nervous myself, but seriously, don't worry about it.
So I agree. And the reason that I emphasized it so much in the presentation is because it was something that I was nervous about as a PNM. And I often felt like everyone else knew, but I didn't know. And so I just want everyone to feel like they have a good grasp of what everyone knows, which is essentially what I told you. Another question for chairs is what steps are being taken to prevent biases during recruitment?
I can kick us off with that one. So in Delta Gamma, we're really intentional with our recruitment preparation. So we have recruitment preparation workshops that we call RPWs that happen throughout the semester leading up. And all of these are kind of centered around a core theme of values-based recruiting. So it's basically what it sounds like, recruiting off of the values of the PNMs that come to us, because that's something that we are so strongly aligned on in our chapter. One thing I love about Delta Gamma is how we have so many unique individual girls in our chapter. But the centering thing is our values of, friendship and unity. Article 2, which is like our main kind of premise in Delta Gamma, which is just to foster high ideals of friendship among women. So that's kind of what is the primary focus for us in terms of training and preparing so we can best serve you throughout the process.
Okay, our next question. Sorry, Mariah, did you want to jump in or Grace?
No, I was just gonna quickly say I think that all of us as Greek life like really try and work as hard as we can to make it like so all of our chapter sisters are educated so that you guys feel comfortable through the process.
Okay, the next question is, do all PNMs get a bid? And I am going to start this off. If you have anything else to add, you are welcome to, but I want to maybe start this off. The short answer is no. It is obviously a selective process. The organizations that are represented on our campus have membership criteria that they use, that they talked about, right, to try to evaluate who's going to be a good fit for their organization. However, the algorithm that we use, that release figure methodology that Mariah mentioned, is designed to make sure that we are able to place the maximum number of PNMs in our organizations. It is designed to try to keep women in our process, not to release them, and to make sure that they find a home in one of our organizations. So typically throughout the week, we release very few PNMs. About 600 or so women register for our program. And in the last 3 years that I've been a part of our recruitment experience here, we have truly released 4 women throughout those full 2 years up until bid day. Like Mariah mentioned, at the end of your preference round, you'll sign that MRABA. We'll talk through that when you get to that portion of your recruitment experience, and you can look it up online. It's not secret or gatekept or anything like that now. But if you do choose not to maximize the whole experience, if you go through the recruitment week and then choose not to maximize your full opportunities, your full options at that point, then yes, there's an opportunity that you are not extended a bid once you get to bid day. That's why we obviously encourage you to keep an open mind as you go through the week. That's why we encourage you to see past any of the external influences in your life, all of that, so that you can make a clear decision for yourself, for your membership experience. Because if you want to join a sorority at Villanova, this process is designed to ensure that you join a sorority at Villanova. Now, what sorority that is totally up in the air. We don't know, but we do know that all of our organizations offer a wonderful membership sisterhood experience. They would not be here if they did not. And so we know that no matter what organization you find yourself in, we know that it will become home for you. So if you have an open mind and you're open to that experience, then this process will likely result with you receiving a bid. If we do make some choices that limit those opportunities, then we can't make as many good projections there. So we hope that you go into it with an open mind and that you give all of these wonderful women and their organizations a shot. And if other folks have thoughts, you're welcome to jump in as well.
All right, well, if not, we can move on to our next question, which is, how is your chapter making recruitment more equitable for all PNMs?
I can talk a little bit about this. So I think you mentioned some of this stuff in your presentation, but we've implemented content warnings before our rounds if we're ever going to talk about anything that might potentially affect certain PNMs over others. We definitely want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with the content that we're talking about. We also have chapter trainings that we do, as some other chapters mentioned as well, to kind of just address any implicit biases that may come up during recruitment and ways to kind of make it more equitable and that values-based recruiting that Aphrodite touched on a little bit. And then we also have a mental health person through Panhell that's going to be on site during recruitment, which you can obviously talk a little bit more about, Mariah, than I can. But I think that's another great resource for PNMs, just to kind of know that, they're not kind of on their own through this. And I think Rho Gammas are also a great resource to go to as well. And they're always super supportive and awesome.
I do also too want to add to that, making the experience more equitable for sophomores specifically with the new implementation of the secondary pool. We've had amazing additions to our chapters that rushed as sophomores. Last year, one even served on our executive board. So I think that is a great idea to kind of help the sophomores get, a better experience and second time around, even too, it just being more equitable and fair. Great decision on Panel's part.
Okay, next question. Are there any downsides of being a commuting student? Do PNMs meet the sisters outside of the recruitment process after that day? How does that experience work?
I can kick us off on this one. Absolutely not. There is no disadvantage whatsoever if you're a commuter student. And during like that recruitment week, there is a no contact policy in place. So no members of chapters can communicate with any PNM. So that alone just kind of levels the playing field in any aspect. So no matter where you're living, there would be no kind of advantage or disadvantage in terms of the recruiting process. The only person that you can really talk to, and I think this is super beneficial and someone you should take advantage of, is your Rho Gamma. Really utilize them. They've been through the process, they've been where you are, and then have wanted to come back and serve in that position to help. So I would recommend, kind of using them as your guideline and your like goalpost in that regard.
I can add on to this as well. We have a few commuter sisters in Kappa Delta, and I personally didn't even know they were commuter students until I had to do some logistical work this month. So it's definitely not a factor to be concerned about at all.
Awesome. Another question we got is, how does sophomore rush work? Is it separate from regular rush?
I can answer this. So no, it's exactly the same process. You're going to be like in a Rho Gamma group with a mix of freshmen and sophomores. I think it's going to be exactly the same. And part of the great thing about that is that as we've mentioned, we're trying to make it, more equitable for people of all different ages at Villanova to rush. You don't just have to be a freshman to go through the recruitment process and have a great experience and find a chapter that's going to suit you. So the process will be exactly the same regardless of if you're a freshman or a sophomore or a junior or whatever age you are.
And you might be thinking that it's separate for some reason because we mentioned a secondary pool for sophomores and upperclassmen. This does not mean that you're separate at all. It just means that each chapter is given a total number of freshmen that they can invite back to their next round, and then a total number of sophomores and upperclassmen that they can invite back to their next round. And this is just helping sophomores and upperclassmen make it through the process more successfully.
Okay, another question. This question is probably going to be specifically for my friend Julia. There's two Julias. Okay, sorry, Julia Gunster. If someone is interested in exploring Alpha Gamma or exploring COB as an option, should they register for recruitment still? Should they just fill out your interest form? Should they do both? What's the vibe here?
So it kind of really depends on exactly what you're looking for. So you can go through Rush and you can decide that it wasn't really for you, and you always have our option. It's not one or the other. You're more than welcome to fill out our interest form at any point. If you want to try and get to know us, like fill that out and we could get to know you. We go on like coffee dates and we have COB events, which we'll be having more in the spring. But the coffee dates are really for us to get to know you on a more personal level. And if you fill out the interest form, like we can definitely set you up on those soon. And if you decide that you still want to go through Rush, you're more like there's no one or the other.
Okay, I have one more question. So sorry. Unless Mariah, you have another one too. Okay. Um, if someone has a different identity that maybe is not historically associated with a Panhellenic sorority, how do your chapters ensure that your organizations are safe and like welcoming for people of all gender identities, sexual orientations, races, ethnicities? Can you provide some examples?
I can start us off with this one. For Kappa Delta specifically, I think an example of how we're trying to be more welcoming for people of all different identities, orientations, and situations is that we have changed a lot of the language that we use. One such example is we have an event that happens each spring that was previously called a mother-daughter brunch, but now we have switched the name to be a favorite ladies brunch, so that we can be more inclusive of people with different family structures or of people who have a woman they want to bring who is not necessarily their mother. So that's one example for Kappa Delta.
Going off of that a bit and what Julia was talking about, I know it kind of sounds a little bit like repetition from what we were saying before, but the system of justice and there is like a sense of security for all members, regardless of sexual orientation, or however they choose to identify. And then kind of beyond that, we really have tried to focus a lot in Delta Gamma on educating ourselves and furthering continuous education. So we have something called DG Dialogues, which are basically that educating on different topics that sometimes may be seen as like hard to talk about. Delta Gamma Nationals requires us to do 2, and we do 4. It's really something that we try and prioritize. And they're also a great way to just bond with your sisters. We do them in chapter. And it's a great way to meet people, have these open dialogues and discussions, and kind of facilitate that progress. And then on top of that, there was recently a CLC in Delta Gamma Nationals, which is like a leadership conference. And Olivia Trexler, who's our director of communications, she actually got put in all of these group chats with different VP communications across the country that are Delta Gammas and really talking about how to be more inclusive on social media. So it's kind of just furthering this education. We've been holding ourselves to a high standard because we care so much about our sisters and want to make sure that every single person feels comfortable in our organization.
I'll just add something quick again. I've already mentioned this before, but we are trying to implement a DEI officer on our executive board. This is so that we have DEI at the forefront of all of our decision making again within our sorority. So I think that's a great way to kind of prioritize that and again emphasize that Greek life has been exclusionary in the past, and we want to make strides to put our best foot forward and really create an inclusive community on campus. And I think Chi Omega has been doing a great job of that.
Awesome. We have one more personal one. How has being in a sorority shaped your experience at Villanova?
I can take this one. So being in a sorority at Villanova has definitely introduced me to so many amazing people in my life. I met one of my senior year roommates through Alpha Phi, and I'm also super close with my big and my littles. So it's just been such an amazing experience to just get to meet so many different people, and become close with so many people that I wouldn't have been close with if it wasn't for joining Alpha Phi.
Yeah, going off of that, I remember I was super nervous because my roommate wasn't rushing, so I was kind of doing it by myself in my room. But that kind of led me into like meeting a bunch of girls even during recruitment where I wouldn't have met them before, and I got so close to them just through that, and it was such a great experience. And then after that, I got to meet even more people and kind of just like all like played out like the rest of like just really making my college experience like so much different than what it was first semester freshman year.
Kind of to add on to that, for me personally, my freshman year roommate also joined Alpha Gamma Delta. And I found that since we joined the same sorority, we just got so much closer. And the people I met are definitely some of my life are gonna be some of my lifelong friends. Hopefully some of my bridesmaids when I get married, like people that I will be with for the rest of my life and have connections with for the rest of my life. And I really value that.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Julia.
sorry. Just to add on, I transferred here actually, so I rushed my sophomore year and didn't go to Villanova at all my freshman year. Um, and so sophomore year in the fall, I really didn't know anybody. I didn't live on campus. I didn't really have like a connection to the school yet, and I felt that through rushing and through joining a sorority, I was able to kind of ground myself at Villanova a little bit and feel like I had a place where I belonged and where I was included. And I was also able to meet a lot of great women and friends, and also just learn about other organizations and other things to get involved on campus through the people I was meeting in Kappa Delta. So that was it was a really helpful experience for me and like finding my place at the school.
I was actually somebody who didn't think they wanted to go through the recruitment process whatsoever. I signed up at 11 p.m. the day it was due. I had no idea it was something I wanted to participate in, which I think benefited me greatly because I went into the process with a super open mind. Just kind of, if it works out, it works out. And it really worked out. Immediately in rounds, like the Delta Gamma rounds went by like that for me. All of a sudden they were telling me to leave. And I was like, no, wait, we're having the best conversations. And to go along with what a few of the other girls said, 3 out of 4 of my roommates are in DG. I've had the opportunity to hold this as my second leadership position within the sorority. And just that, I thought I was a pretty self-assured person before, but I've grown so much throughout my time at Villanova, and I credit the majority of that to my time at Delta Gamma.
Yeah, Chi Omega has truly made my college experience incredible. I have an amazing core group of friends now where we've laughed, we've cried, we've quite literally seen it all together. And I'm so happy that I have them by my side. They truly motivate me to be the best person I can be. They've pushed me in so many different ways, helping me with pursuing my master's and being more confident and being a great leader and being the greatest good recruitment chair for Chi Omega. And I'm so happy to have them by my side. And a lot of the kind of involvement I've had on campus has been because of Chi Omega. So I'm super happy that it's made campus feel good, like smaller, but in a good way.
Ava, Floyd, and Grace, this is our last question if you want to add anything.
Sure. Um, I think something everybody kind of talked about that was a common theme was being able to meet like so many new people. And I think that sororities are an incredible way to do that. And I also think that something I always say to people when I'm talking about it is that I feel like I joined one organization that opened like 1,000 doors, whether it be like philanthropy, or you have people who suddenly like can give you upperclassmen when you're a freshman that are giving you advice about like what classes you should take and like majors. And I mean, we have so many great service events that we do. So I think something that's so unique about a sorority is that it's so many things like wrapped up into one, and you kind of get to pick and choose sort of what you want to put your time into, whether it be like a leadership role or kind of really participating in every philanthropy event. You also get to form really strong connections and relationships with girls that are a bunch of different ages. So I think that it's like such an invaluable experience, and it really added so much to my time at Villanova.
That was a hard act to follow there, Aves. But yeah, I think that I would just piggyback on that and say, being in a sorority, I think the first thing that comes to mind is like making a lot of friends, and you have formals and all these fun events, but it also gives you an opportunity to give back to both like local and national philanthropies, which is such a nice way to like take a step back in your college life and like look at a broader perspective, which I really love. Well, thanks to all of you recruitment chairs and to everyone who joined this Zoom. It looks like we don't have any more questions right now. So if anything comes up after this call, PNMs, remember that you can always reach out to us and that our emails are available when this goes up on the website. The recording and the slides will both be up on the website for you to refer back to whenever you need to. It also has all the links. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.